a great question. Like you, I meet people whose health could be massively changed with some small changes. The key in the work that I do with people is asking them to be honest about some foundational measures of success. And I say to them, I think athletes and CEOs and doctors and researchers and podcast hosts tend to get the basics right, and they know something about them. And the basics in the universe that I live in really feel like sleep, diet, exercise, relationships, and purpose or spirituality. And I keep it very simple. I say, go away, spend a little bit of time and score yourself out of 10 on those things. And this reflective practice is part of making conscious what are our unconscious patterns and beliefs around exercise or sleep or diet. And once you start to do some scoring and introspection, you then have to say, do I know enough about this? Because I scored my sleep 7, but is that true? Oh, actually, yes, my device tells me. Well, I scored my relationships 4. I always say to people, the observation is cheap, and it's a little bit, with respect, the same as your data, your dashboard. The observation is cheap, and many people are going to be able to replicate it. What matters is the action you take next, because the action brings a new piece of data, and the new piece of data allows you to actively experiment in the right direction. We have to accept we're human, so we're all going to fall down on some of those foundational elements from time to time, be it from stress or work or family commitments or whatever they are. But if you're being honest about those pieces and you're prepared to run some experiments, you're likely to see progress in other parts of your life, leading, building a business. But without them, you can't tell me you'll be a great leader or run a successful business, because we know that these things drive foundational wellness. It's usually at this moment I say, have you got a good sense of your own physical dashboard? And unsurprisingly, most people don't. That's a fairly new thing in the world of medicine. And then I send them to you guys. And I say, go and get some data. Go and get curious. But yeah, it's something that you see, Rudy, and I'm not sure how you tackle it outside of people coming towards you.
No, I think you gave me a great answer there. I mean, the two things that we do not ask, and we should maybe, is do you have a sense of spiritual well-being? Do you know where you stand? I mean, it's something we do not ask. And it's one question you can put on the form, and it could put on a light. And the other thing is relationships. Are you happy with your relationships? Because, we don't ask, but if you say score your relationships in your life out of 10, if people score a 3, you need to act on that. I mean, that is, maybe someone has never asked that. And then if you
and
intervene.
Also the reason why they're coming. I mean, we should delve deeper into that as well. Yes, it's on the questionnaire, sometimes asking why did you come in to come and see us? But often one should ask a deeper question than that to make sure why they come to us. There might be a deeper reason than that. That's something that bothers them.
Yeah, and we do see that is like, we normally see that the wife wants the husband to come to us. Mm-hmm. And the moment he's there and he's been screened, he said, you got to get my wife here. It's like, it's very interesting, because then you realize their relationship is more important and they want to walk the journey together. So if you fix me, fix her as well, so that we can walk this path, which is great. So and that brings me back to, you put on a red light for this guy and he realizes, but we don't know if any red lights exist for my wife. I want to know. And it's actually a reflection, but we did not ask about relationships, and that's great. So
it's so helpful, I think, if you want to talk preventative medicine. And in fact, healthcare broadly has become perhaps a little bit pathologized. You know, we focus on the illness and we don't take a holistic look at wellness, and we don't ask questions around how people's contexts or environments are affecting them. The state of your relationship, be it your marriage or with your parent or with your child. The sense that you have of purpose or spirituality or connection to the world around you. We know that people need these things to feel grounded, to feel safe. Sleep is such a basic, but in the busy world I live in, the executives and entrepreneurs throw that one aside first and then wonder why their exercise regime doesn't stick, or why their diet doesn't change, or why their relationship is struggling. So this exploration and mindset we talked about before we came on the podcast is everything. You have to want to be curious. You have to be curious, and you have to want to explore these things. And then we have to accept as practitioners of change that half of the universe, half of the population is simply not interested or willing or is prepared just to continue as they are. When you find those who are, how do you give them some practices and something that helps it stick? Because motivation is slippery. And I'm curious how you guys stay motivated. You said to me this is podcast 17. It's hard yards. What keeps you motivated?
I think the big thing for me is a little bit of clapping, so that we hear, okay, but you've changed that person's life, or there's someone in my child's swimming school that got a very early diagnosis and is going to pretty much live a long time instead of could have a very bad cancer. So that type of stuff, little things that you change in people's lives. I think this chap that we talked about earlier had that could have had a heart attack. He was with us very early, and now we know we can treat his son very early. I mean, as a teenager, we now know with the new guidelines. So I think that is, and then I think the other thing is bringing someone like yourself outside so people know, because I mean, people don't hear people like you speak all the time. They need to pay to go somewhere. Now they can open up YouTube and they can hear someone like you. Like our Iron podcast has got thousands of listeners already, and we've changed a lot of lives there. I think that's it for me.
No, absolutely. A little bit of the clapping, and I believe that the current health system is broken. A busy GP practice, they do sick care. You go in when you feel unwell.
Yes.
There's not enough time, there's not enough space to do preventative care. I think times has changed. I think we've got data that we can use. I think we know now for certain conditions that if we step in early, we can make a huge difference in someone else's life. And if we can carry on this road, we might just get that split in the medicine where there's a dedicated field looking at people in a preventative way. And obviously we both of us, we had our personal journey of health issues. And that's a big driver. So we spoke about things happen in your life, and my health issue brought me here. So yes, that's the motivation behind